So the steps for this badge are: first, we're going to get a feel for performing solo. Then we are going to focus on our body language. We are going to find our voice. And then I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to choose or create a piece to perform. And then I'm also going to share some information on how you can complete step 5, which is getting on stage. Now, I know right now we're kind of isolated in our homes, so it's not really possible to get in front of a physical audience, but public speaking can be done anywhere. And like right now, I am publicly speaking to all of you watching just through my camera. So even though we're not physically together, you are my audience and I'm talking. So we'll get started. So we all talked about like what we want to be when we grow up. A lot of those jobs have to do with some type of speaking in front of people. Stacy, she mentioned that she watches her mom speak a lot and she's really good. So that's awesome. You have someone to look up to that does a really good job at public speaking. So like I said, public speaking is a valuable tool for life. And even though we're not together, we can still work on our public speaking skills. So we are going to get started with step 1, which is get a feel for performing solo. So some options for this badge for step 1 are: you can read a monologue, you can read a political speech or read a poem or short story. Today I'm going to read a few poems, just 2 short ones, so that we can kind of get a feel for performing solo. So if you're at home and you want to work on this badge with me, you can pick out a book and you can just read an excerpt from the book. You can write your own poem and you can read from that. There's a lot of different ways that you can get a feel for performing solo. Sorry. So I'm going to read a video or a little poem by Shel Silverstein. I think a lot of you might recognize some of these poems, but they're some of my favorite poems, and I think they are really good ways to get like our juices flowing as far as talking. I stumble over my words a lot, so I love to public speak, but sometimes I get a little mixed up when I'm talking, but I still do it anyway. So one thing that you want to work on is powering through. Even when you mess up, it's okay. You can always try again. So the first poem that I am going to read for getting a feel for performing solo is a poem by Shel Silverstein, and it is called Runnies Heading Rabbits. All right, here we go. It has a little bit of a tongue twister on here, so I might mess up, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going. Runnie went to the library, and there were hundreds of hooks. History hooks, biography hooks, and lots of bory stooks. He looked them over one by one, and guess which one he took? A Bayan sook? A poetry book? Oh no, a bomic cook. So that one is a really fun tongue twister. It's just lighthearted and funny. And if you could kind of guess which ones mixed up jumbled words were, if you could guess what actually they were, if you want to put those in the comments too. He said a bomic book, a poetry book, a Bryant's sook. So if you want to guess which ones those books actually are in the comments, I'll shout some of those out. So we're doing this again to get a feel for performing solo. So we're saying things out loud. We're reading something that maybe someone else has already written for us. So we're just kind of getting the juices flowing right here. You want to make sure you warm up before a game or stretch before going on a run. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. So the next poem that I am going to read is called Falling Up by Shel Silverstein. This is a classic poem that a lot of people probably know. Yeah, comic book is one of the ones that they were saying. Science book, poetry book, comic book. Awesome. I love it. You guys are very good at this. So, falling up. I tripped on my shoelace and I fell up to the rooftops, up over the town, up past the treetops, up over the mountains, up where the colors blend into the sounds. But it got me so dizzy, when I looked around, I got sick to my stomach and I threw down. So, like I said, Shel Silverstein is awesome. He writes short poems, long poems, but some of them are tongue twisters and they're really whimsical. So whimsical is like kind of crazy and lighthearted. And they're fun poems to read to kind of get a feel for performing solo. So when you're at home, you can take a book, you can take a poem, something that you find lying around the house, and you can just start reading it and try to get a feel for talking out loud. Another thing that I did to get a feel for performing solo is I called my friends before this live stream started to just talk to them and see what was going on, but to get my talking voice going on. And that helped me a lot too when I was getting ready to do this public speaking badge. So step one, get a feel for performing solo. We read 2 poems, and what you can do at home is read some poems or some books around the house out loud. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to focus on our body language. So body language is obviously just as important as the words that we say. Moving your hands for gestures to emphasize a certain point is one way that you can use body language when you're public speaking. So for those of you who are cadets, when you're in 6th and 8th grade, you might start working on projects like group projects and presenting them in front of the class. You might have already done that even if you are in 4th, 5th, 3rd grade too. So things like focusing on your body language, like standing up straight, using your hands to emphasize certain words, and making sure that you are talking and making eye contact with everyone that you are talking to. So you want to warm up your body for public speaking because we'll be paying attention to you and what you do and what you say. So to practice our body language today, we are going to do charades. So we're going to go through 5 actions and I'm going to act them out. And then I want you all to guess in the comments what you think I am doing. So some people say we like the giving tree. That's awesome. Make comics for fun. Cool. Great. I love it. So we are going to do charades. The first thing I am going to do, I will do an activity and I'm going to have you guess. So I'm going to get up here. I'm going to do my activity and then you can guess in the comments and then we will go on. We'll do 3 of these. So let me move my chair here. So the first one is, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. Do we have any guesses of what I was doing? These aren't supposed to be very challenging. You're just working on getting your body moving. Yeah, swimming. Awesome, everyone. You guys did great. Sweet. So I was swimming. Absolutely. So I'm going to do the next one. This one's going to be a little more, I guess, with more action. So the next thing that I'm going to do, yeah, freestyle and breaststroke. I love that one. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do, here we go. Okay. I'll wait for some comments to come in and see what you guys say. Yeah, playing guitar and singing. Yeah, I could be doing karaoke too. Absolutely. Performing music, rocking, playing guitar. Yeah, rock band group. Absolutely. Awesome. You guys got that one too. So like I said, they're not supposed to be super hard. I'm just getting my body warmed up to be standing in front of a group of people to talk out loud. All right, so here is the last one that we are going to be doing. and then that will be working on our body language. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. You ready? Okay. All right, looks like we got some comments coming in. So I'm going to sit down. Yeah, shopping. I was grocery shopping. I guess I could be anything kind of shopping, but right now the only kind of shopping I do is grocery shopping. So I was grocery shopping. Absolutely. Sweet. So my body is warmed up. I'm ready to go. I feel loosey-goosey. I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready to perform in front of some people. I worked on, finding my voice, getting a feel for performing solo, and focusing on my body language. Yeah, grocery shopping, absolutely. All right, so now that we've gotten a feel for performing solo by reading out loud and have focused our body language by moving around and doing charades, we are going to move on to step 3, which is finding your voice. So this is going to be a little bit silly at first, but I think it really helps. So I am going to comment in the comments the sentence that I want you all to repeat. So it's called "Now is the time for change." So I posted the comment in the comment section so that you can see it if you're more of a visual person or if you just want it out there. So the sentence is "Now is the time for change." And when we work on finding our voice, we are going to emphasize different parts of the sentence each time. So in the description of the comments, the sentence says, "Now is the time for change." So I'm going to go through that sentence and emphasize a new part of the sentence each time. So you can do this with any sentence that you choose, but if you want to show the emphasis in the comments, you would just capitalize each word every time you make the comment. So like emphasizing now, you would capitalize NOW, is the time for change. So when I would emphasize each word in the sentence, "Hi from Australia," we would say, "Now is the time for change." Then I would say it again to emphasize is, and I would say, "Now is the time for change." Then I would say it again and maybe go, "Now is the time for change." So you can tell in my voice, each time I emphasize a certain word, I get a little bit louder and I emphasize with my face and with my hands each word that I want to emphasize. Now is the time for change. Exactly. Yeah, Francis is commenting each emphasized word. So if you want to read off of that, that's exactly how you want to do that. So again, we are finding our voices in this step. So you can say any sentence that you want, obviously, if it's appropriate, and you can emphasize different parts of that sentence. So you can make something up if you want. You can say almost anything. Yeah, people do this in theater too. That's what someone commented. It's used almost in anything, like you can use it in acting. Someone commented, "Now is the time for change." I love it. So you can emphasize almost any part of the sentence. Perfect. And you can say this walking around at home. It's pretty easy to get those vocal cords warmed up, walking around. Now is the time for change. So the next thing I want you all to do is repeat these words, and I will put them back into the comments. So again, we are working on finding our voice. So the first word, now it's the time for change. Yeah, exactly. I love watermelon. I emphasized all of that, but yes, exactly, Erica. So I am going to put a word in the comments, and I want you to work on saying that word out loud. So the word is chiropractor. Now, it's a little hard to say at first, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I stumble over my words a lot. So these words are a great activity or an exercise to do if you want to try to work on pronouncing the words correctly or emphasizing them. So pronunciation is just making sure that you're saying all the syllables clear so that the word doesn't sound like you're mumbling it. So chiropractor, you can hear like the T in there, chiropractor. The next word is specificity. And this is a fun word to say no matter what. But specificity is a hard word to try to pronounce correctly. So to get a feel of your voice and finding your voice, repeating the word specificity is really good to work on how you're going to pronounce words. So specificity. Specificity. So sometimes people might, and I do this a lot too, but sometimes people might say Pacific or specific instead of Pacific. So a lot of the times working on pronouncing your words like that, so the Pacific Ocean instead of the specific ocean. So this can be done with almost any word that you find is hard to pronounce. Just take your time with it and work through the word. This can happen to anyone, not just people who are publicly speaking, but just in general. So the next word that I want you guys to try to pronounce is electoral. Electoral. That's another word, and this just came to my mind, but if any of you have watched like High School Musical or anything, where Sharpay and Ryan are in the dressing rooms and they're doing those vocal warm-ups like that's kind of like what this is. So they do like the bah, bah. That's what this step is centered around. So finding your voice. Thought that would be fun. So electoral. So now we're going to move on. We've covered step 1, which is get a feel for performing solo. And step 2 is focusing on body language. And then step 3 was find your voice. So we got a feel by performing solo through reading poems. We focused on body language by doing charades. And we got a feel of finding our voice by pronouncing different words and emphasizing different words in a sentence. So step 4 and 5 can be done at home. I'm going to go through step 4 and just kind of give you some ideas and share a little bit about what I did to complete step 4. So step 4 is where you get to choose or create a piece to perform. So there are a few different things that you can do for this step, such as writing a speech about something you believe in, creating a piece for a character, or picking out an existing piece that you really enjoy. So I like to journal personally, so I decided I would perform a piece that I wrote down in my journal during the quarantine. I will read just a little bit of what I've written, but before I do that, I want to make sure that my body and my voice are ready to go. So I'm going to sit up straight in my chair so I have better posture. And I'm going to make sure that since we've done steps 2 and 3, I feel comfortable speaking out loud. My body is ready. I don't feel stiff, and I feel like I'm ready to read something that I have made for you all. So some tips just to prepare for choosing a piece to perform. are running your lines. So you do this in theater, or just memorizing a speech that you have, or rereading something if you don't get it the first time. Saying your lines out loud is step 2 to prepare. 3 is moving around. And then 4 is recording yourself and listening back. This part is pretty awkward if you listen to yourself back, but it really helps when you work on your voice and how you want to share the information that you're sharing. Number 5 is break down your piece. So go through it step by step. So if you have a presentation to give in school, you might go through the introduction, then you might go through the body, and then you might go through the conclusion. So if you're going through this at home, I know school's kind of wrapping up right now, but if you have like a final presentation, going through those steps of breaking down your piece would be really helpful before you share. And then the last step that you can do to prepare for a performance or public speaking is to write down your lines. So writing things down if you haven't already. I like to write down first and then prepare orally, but you can write down your lines to make sure that you can memorize them. Yeah, so Francis said, I listened to myself recorded. I kept thinking there is no way I sounded like that. I completely agree. Sometimes I have no idea who is actually talking on the recording when I listen to myself back. So it's like I said, it's weird at first, but you get used to it and it actually does really help you. All right, so I'm going to read the little piece that I wrote just to show you what I chose to perform. And I'm going to read like a very small snippet of it, but I said, I love looking out the window. There are so many different things to look at all the time. Looking out into the city makes me feel small and like my life isn't as big as I think it is. All the people doing their own thing, driving all over. I love watching all the moving parts cross, connect, and never meet. My favorite thing is when I'm looking at a very tall building and I look out the window. I can see the other people in the world. So that's what I wrote. I chose that piece to perform because I really do enjoy looking out the window. I live with a view of the city, which is really nice during quarantine. So that's what I chose. Now I would challenge you all to write something down, do some journaling, or even write something or read something that someone has already written down. It could be, a play or something that you just really enjoy reading, and try to choose that to perform out loud. So steps 4 and 5 actually kind of go hand in hand. So step 4 is to choose or create a piece to perform. And then 5 is get on stage. Yeah, people always sound different recorded. So for step number 5 is get on stage. Now, no matter what size stage it is, if it's big or small, there's always an opportunity for you to shine and get into the spotlight with your new public speaking skills. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, I am publicly speaking, even though I'm not on a stage, and even though there are not a lot of people, I'm the only one in this room right now. So I'm still publicly speaking. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this at home. There's different video like FaceTime or Zoom. You can video call some of your friends and do it that way. You can do it in front of friends and family. You can perform in front of your troupe if you all are still getting together. You can perform at school. So like I mentioned earlier, if you have a presentation that you have to do and you still have to present it over video, that is one way that you can get on stage for this badge. Yeah, so basically someone said, basically reading aloud helps, right? Yeah, if you read something aloud first, like if you're typing a paper and you read it aloud to yourself, sometimes you're like, no, that doesn't sound right. Let me read it some other way or type it some other way. So reading out loud what you have written down helps a lot. And then go to your audience for step 5. So just connecting with your audience, like I've been reading out some comments here. making sure that you're keeping your audience engaged, and that is how you would work on creating, a good public speaking environment. So again, getting on stage is step 5, and I gave you some tips and tricks on how to do that in the time of quarantine. You can also make things like a group performance as well if you're still not totally comfortable being on stage by yourself. So again, like I said, you can do a troop Zoom meeting and work on this together as well. It would be a great way to connect and try to talk to others and practice your public speaking skills. So any type of talking to others is public speaking. As long as you have an audience and something is set up like this is right now, that is public speaking. I would say if you're just with like a group of 2 or 3 friends, you're not necessarily publicly speaking out loud or setting up a little event, but you are working on your speaking skills, which is always great practice. So like I said, we went through steps 1 through 3. We completed those on the video. And then I gave you some tips and tricks on how to choose a piece to perform and how to get on stage. So those were steps 4 and 5. I hope you all had a really good time today learning how to publicly speak. And if you're a cadet, hopefully you had some great opportunities to get that public speaking badge. I know everything's kind of crazy right now, but hopefully with publicly speaking, you're finding new ways to talk in front of other people with us being isolated from each other. So if you enjoyed this video and you guys are not a Girl Scout, please visit girlscouts.org/join to learn more about becoming a member. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Girl Scouts WOH. That is our little Instagram tag. I got ahead of myself there. So it's Girl Scouts WOH is Instagram. And tomorrow at 10 a.m. is Senior Room Makeover, which sounds really awesome and fun. So once I log off here, I'll try to respond to as many comments as possible. But that is the public speaking badge for cadets. I hope you guys have a great weekend and hope to see you soon. Just real quick, it looks like we can be your audience and you can play your guitar. Unfortunately, those guitars are not mine. I am not talented in that way, but I do love to talk to people. So hope you guys have a great day, great weekend, and peace out, Girl Scout.